diving in. How's everyone doing? Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm just turning everything on, firing it up. Tell me your relationship questions. Tell me what's going on in your world. Come on over. Hi. Well, yeah, I was making music, and then I have a streaming problem. There's something going on where the music's bending, and it sounds all terrible and weird. All right, firing up. Going live on TikTok. Going up on YouTube. Going up on Facebook. Give me your relationship questions. Here's what I was thinking for today. I thought that you and I would talk through some relationship stuff, and even better, I thought that we'd have some calling questions, and I would play them for you. I'm going to play you some questions that folks that called in, and then we're just going to, answer and dive in and see if there's some insight that we can gather just from people's experiences. Does that sound good for you? Okay, good. Let's dive into the first one. We're starting strong.
Hi, Matthias. I'd like to remain anonymous for this, but my question revolves around sex in marriage, sexual intimacy, but particularly difficulty and issues with sex. To make a long story short, my husband has a wide range of issues that really impact his libido and performance, from recovering porn addiction to performance anxiety. We've also been through some infidelity and betrayal. So, needless to say, our sex life is practically non existent at this point and has been for a very, very long time. And over the years, that's been really difficult on me. Sex is really important to me. It's a really strong way that I feel connected to him, and I just don't really know what to do. It feels like I really have no power, and that his needs are the forefront, and that my needs when it comes to sex are really pushed to the back burner. It just feels like there's nothing I can do other than just support him on his journey. But I can't help but feel really sad about that for me. And it's like, I know that I can't force him and I don't want to, but I just am feeling really stuck and unsure of how I can connect with him intimately in the meantime when sex is off the table.
Yeah, who relates to that? I think there's a few things that pop out to me, like when we hear that, like, he has issues with sexual performance. We live in a culture that frames it that way, that sexuality is a performance. It's not. Sexuality is an expression of feeling. So when we talk about intimacy with a partner, with a spouse, we're talking about what is happening in here in relation to the relationship, to the family, to the moment of your life. How do I express that and get it out there? And when we think about sexuality as something we perform, a need that needs to be satisfied, so much of the time I think we think about it like it's this box we need to check. And the reality is that it's this deep desire to connect and to express and then to be received by the other person. There's an incredible book by Alexander Lowen on this topic, and he talks about it's whenever we try to take away the expression of feeling from sexuality, when we're trying to navigate sexuality in a way. Oh, wait, no sound. Hold on, it's muted. Oh man, I was on a roll too. Darn. Hey, can you hear me? Check, 1, 2, 3. Hello? I think you can hear me. on TikTok, people are like, well, this is awkward. I feel awkward. Can the rest of the good people? Oh, it's just TikTok's problem. Sorry, one moment. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Why is that not working? Oh, man. How disappointing. How disappointing. It's grayed out. Sorry, TikTok. Okay. Isn't this delightful? I think I gotta end this stream with TikTok and then restart it. Man, I was on a roll too. I was getting into it. Throw in your questions. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere else, throw in your questions, your relationship questions. I'll be collecting those and I'll be answering through it. Give me just a minute to work out some tech stuff, okay? Almost ready. Okay, it says it's on now. Check. Fixed it. Is anyone here still? All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the delay. All right, we're back up. We're back up. I'm glad that Instagram can hear me. Instagram's like, we can hear you. We can hear you. All right. And we're back with Instagram. We're back with YouTube. All right. Let's try this again. Take 2. Let's listen to the question one more time. And then we're going to dive into the answer.
Hi, Matthias. I'd like to remain anonymous for this, but my question revolves around sex in marriage, sexual intimacy, but particularly difficulty and issues with sex. To make a long story short, my husband has a wide range of issues that really impact his libido and performance, from recovering porn addiction to performance anxiety. We've also been through some infidelity and betrayal. So, needless to say, our sex life is practically non-existent at this point and has been for a very, very long time. And over the years, it's been really difficult on me. Sex is really important to me. It's a really strong way that I feel connected to him. And I just don't really know what to do. It feels like I really have no power, and that his needs are the forefront, and that my needs when it comes to sex are really pushed to the back burner. It just feels like there's nothing I can do other than just support him on his journey. But I can't help but feel really sad about that for me. And it's like, I know that I can't force him and I don't want to, but I just am feeling really stuck and unsure of how I can connect with him intimately in the meantime when sex is off the table.
Yeah. Oh, so hard. Okay, well, the first thing that pops out to me, if you've been hanging out, Welcome, everyone. Welcome on TikTok. No sound detected. I'm furious. Okay. Sorry, TikTok. You gotta go over to Instagram. They can't hear me. Right. Bye, TikTok. I gave up on you. Hi, YouTube and Instagram. We're just hanging here. Is there anyone left? Hi, IG. All right. You've heard it twice now. Sexual performance issues. What is a sexual performance issue? I think a sexual performance issue is when you think of sex as a performance. And of course, that creates anxiety. Nearly every sexual dysfunction, there are certainly physical components having to do with pelvic floor and having to do with the physiological, just components of anatomy. But by and large, when it relates to mental health, sexual dysfunction is always related to fear. It's always related to fear. And when you view sex as a performance, what you're doing is you're downgrading what sex really is, which is emotional expression. All sexuality is expression and enjoyment of the emotional world that animates feeling alive, that animates feeling. Sexuality is feeling. It is both the tension, the rise, and then the climax and expression of feeling, the reception of feeling. It's what sexuality is. And so you can look at sexual dysfunction through that lens and then diagnose pretty quickly just kind of what's going on. So you think about, okay, sexual performance issues. If, like, let's say it sounds like her spouse is someone who's had a pornography background, so someone who cannot get aroused, a male who cannot get it up. I mean, it's not very hard to zoom up and see what's happening there. Oftentimes, what pornography does is it limits sexuality into excitation. It's like trying to connect. It's trying to create tension and buildup and arousal without connecting to feeling. The thing that creates the tension and the buildup and the rise of sexual feeling is emotion. It's the emotion and the feeling that you have towards the other person, towards the moment of life that you both are sharing together. That's the air that fills up the balloon is meant to be feeling and emotion. And if you're disconnected from emotion, the only thing you have left is things like novelty and, things getting more and more sexually explorative and just kind of like kink and like moving into territory that creates tension without feeling. So trying to engage in intimate acts in public, trying to push into novel forms and techniques, different kinds of performance, different kinds of items that are used to accentuate. Like all of that stuff are attempts to build tension without connecting to emotion. Emotion's what builds the tension. And then kind of the rise and then the fall, the climax and then the resolution is the expression of that tension, the release of that tension that leads to satisfaction. Sexual satisfaction can only come when you're connected to emotion, when you're connected to feeling. It's the only way it happens. If you excite sexually through pornography, through other means, you can certainly, rise and then fall, but it won't have an emotional imprint on you. It'll feel vapid. It'll feel fleeting. It'll feel unsatisfactory. It can feel pleasurable. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, like all sorts of, sexuality outside of feeling can still feel pleasurable, but it doesn't make you a deeper, more grounded person. It doesn't transform you. It doesn't allow you to wake up the next morning feeling reborn. And so I think the first thing I think of when you're like, okay, well, he has sexual performance issues. And I'm like, great. Step one, it's not a performance. Let's talk about your feelings. Let's talk about what you actually feel towards your partner. Might be a lot of fear. If you're feeling a lot of fear with your partner, well, of course you're not going to feel really intimate and close, and sexuality is going to be difficult for you because fear and sexuality are opposites. You can't pull back and move towards at the same time. So make that make sense. I'm terrified of you. I'm withheld from you. I don't want to feel safe and relax and let down my guard, and I want to be physically intimate with you. Nope, no chance. I think that even all like that might be confusing to a few folks if you're just thinking about like the BDSM stuff, the kink stuff that includes fear, and it's not exactly fear, it's tension, suspense, power. What you're doing is you're creating artificial points of tension that then are released and satisfied. It's like binding and then releasing. So there's, I think, breathe in, breathe out. Like there's this very biological, psychological rhythm of creating tension and then releasing tension that allows for sexuality to be pleasurable and enjoyable. And what I'm saying is you can create that artificially through all of just the novel whatever, or you can create that in the heart, in the emotion, in the relationship itself. You don't really need novelty. The person you're connecting with, your partner, even if you're long-term partners, 20, 30 years, they're a new person every time you engage with them. Everyone's new every day. Every experience is with a new version of your partner. It's all novel. What the question is like, does it fire up your dopamine tracks to create excitement? And I think that those are diametrically opposed goals. You can pursue excitement, you can pursue connection. Those are different things. I know that's probably a novel idea for a lot of you, so if you have questions on that, let me know. What do you think of that? I'm looking at the Instagram chat. Yes, I do answer the chat's questions. Abby says, what about hugging and kissing? All part of it, yes? Yeah. I mean, I think that biologically, when you think about just connection, the kissing, the hugging is meant to kind of like create responsive desire. So much of how we're designed is not just we become aroused and hear through ideas, we also become aroused through touch and getting into our bodies. And so there's, whatever you want to call it, foreplay is meant to create enough stimulation to bring the body into feeling and into the heart. And then the expression of the heart is what creates both the tension, the release, the satisfaction of connection. And so when you're trying to kind of solve like, well, hold on, like my partner just doesn't really have a high libido. They don't really have, I'm not getting my needs met. I mean, the need isn't to engage sexually. The need is to feel connected, to be able to express really what you feel with your partner physically, not just with your words, but with your body. And for that to be received, it's an intimacy issue, not just a physical issue. Everyone needs more or less in the sense of like people have different libidos, obviously, in the sense that they want to engage in that dance more or less. But there's no one that just doesn't want to engage in the dance because they live in a body. And part of romantic connection is that your bodies are connected to each other, not just your minds. So you need that. So if there's been a passive infidelity, if there's been a passive pornography, I mean, no doubt there's emotional distance. In all likelihood, he's disconnected from what he really feels because what he feels dangerous. It's probably a complex trauma ordeal. There's some sort of traumatic coping where he's disconnected from feeling. And as long as he's disconnected from feeling, then he can't express his feelings to you, and then that can't be satisfactory. And then you try to go through the alternative route of trying to create sexual connection through excitation, which is through all the stuff I was describing, pornography, items and circumstances and situations that feel exciting, novelty, different positions, whatever. All of that is just trying to create tension that then you can release in a way that's pleasurable, that doesn't touch your feelings. I think it's a lost cause. I think it'll be fleeting, vapid, unsatisfactory in the long run. Fun, sure. Pleasurable, sure. And I'm not trying to moralize it and say like it's a bad thing to pursue those things on a moral level. Do what you want. I'm just talking about if you're not getting what you want through different things, it's helpful to know. There's a difference between getting excited and then really being sexual. I find the people that are the most, like, for lack of a better word, promiscuous are the least sexual people you meet. in the sense of what I'm talking about. The people that are most into different kinks and, I don't know, edgy sexual behavior are often the people most disconnected from their emotions. Because when you are deeply connected to your feelings and you express those feelings, and that's the engine of your sexual connection, you don't need all the other stuff. The other stuff is almost a distraction from the main course, which is sharing and receiving feeling with someone you love. It's the main event. That's why old people like sex. And I don't know, like sometimes there's like young folks in their 20s, like, how do the old wrinkly people even enjoy themselves? It's like, yeah, because it's not the excitation of their body parts looking smooth or being different proportions. It's like, it's the feeling. It's always been the feeling. Does that make sense? Am I talking totally beyond where everyone else is at, or is this making any sense at all? Someone's like, what? I just jumped on. What is this about? We're talking about sex. Does fear need to resolve before that makeout or hookup? Is that necessary if it's not with a partner to really know each other? I don't know what that second part of the question means. Does fear need to be resolved before a makeout or hookup? And what I'm saying is that fear will shut down feeling and felt feelings of closeness. So you can feel fear and still choose to engage sexually with somebody. That's the only pleasure you'll derive from that, though, is the excitation of just the physical neurons firing off in the brain. It's not going to be emotionally satisfying. It's going to feel vapid. You're going to wake up the next day feeling worse. It's going to emotionally leave you worse off. I think that's almost like such a common experience. It's self-evident. I don't even think I need to defend that. I'm not talking morally here. I'm just talking pragmatically. But if you want to connect emotionally in the way that leads to real satisfaction in sexual connection, you have to include your feelings. You have to include your emotions. So I think that hookup culture, the idea of sleeping with someone on the first date, is kind of like a contradiction in terms, because what kind of feeling can you genuinely have with someone you've only known for a few hours? What kind of depth of emotion can you really express to someone you've only known for a few hours? Not much. And so you would engage in the other thing, the excitation, which is a form, I think, of using someone just to feel pleasure, which of course is going to be emotionally unsatisfying because it's not connected to your feelings. Okay. That feels conservative, but it's not. I've talked to the most progressive liberal people ever that have chosen to change their sexual behavior because of that pragmatic reason. That's just the emotional results of physically connecting to someone in your boundary. It's a grounding problem. It's a body. It's a somatic problem. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So someone just said, can we talk about women not wanting to have sex with their partners because they don't feel like they are being met emotional by their partner? That's what I'm talking about. Is that the sex isn't satisfying because their partner's not expressing emotion. They're just trying to use their partner's bodies to get sexual excitation. They're using their partner's bodies as a dopamine hit, not actually expressing real feeling. That's the distinction I'm making here. Oh yeah, same thing with someone brought up anxious attachment. This is so true in anxious attachment because folks who are anxiously attached, they use sex to try to get connection, but they're not expressing feeling, they're performing so that it will be safe, and they're hoping their partner will express feeling towards them. It's a contradiction. It's like, oh, I'll shove up all of my feelings so that one day it'll be safe enough to express my feelings. And it doesn't work. It only hurts. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's helpful. I'm reading through the chat right now. Okay. Well, it seems like we've explored that chat a little bit. Okay, good. Starting off strong. Let's move to the next question. I'm going to play another question from, what is it? SpeakPipe. SpeakPipe is where you can go to ask me questions. It's in the description, but speakpipe.com/Matthias. You can record a little voicemail, ask me a question. Love to answer it. Love to talk about it. Okay, next question.
How do I get over a betrayal that was disclosed or shared a year and a half after it happened. And it's been about a year and a half, and I, for the last 6 months, have been now feeling the betrayal and trying to work on me to get over it.
Work on me.
Period. I have going to therapy, and he refuses, but will go if I ask him to.
Ask him to. I don't laugh at any disrespect. It's so clearly, obviously needed. You need to ask him to. Yeah. You can't. This isn't just something you'll fix on your own. That implies that you are the issue that caused him to have an affair, and then if you just change something about you, then the relationship will go back to normal. But there's a repair of trust that needs to happen. When there's infidelity, you need to repair trust. And that happens when both people are engaged. That doesn't mean you accept. We sometimes think it's like, oh, I just need to get over it. I'm not really sure what that means. Are you supposed to go back to trusting someone who's untrustworthy? Are you supposed to be fine when someone betrays you? That doesn't seem healthy. Are you trying to perfect your avoidance? Like, I don't know. It just seems clear that you would invite him to therapy and you have to engage, and then what needs to happen for that emotion to settle in you is that you need acknowledgement. And then there needs to be an amends made. There needs to be an effort on his part to acquire new knowledge and to have accountability, to set boundaries, and for him to accept those boundaries. It's necessary, not optional. Or you're just going to kind of shove down this experience and try to let it be water under the bridge and try to pretend like it doesn't happen. And then you're going to go to therapy to try to help you cope for when that beach ball that you're trying to hold under the water, it pops up. And then the conversation looks like him getting frustrated. It's like, I thought we moved on from this. I thought, like, why are you always dwelling on the past? Why can't you let it go? Why can't you forgive? And it's like, because we haven't repaired. Because the bridge has not been rebuilt. Yeah, invite him to therapy. That's a necessity. Yeah. Someone says, you can apologize, but I don't trust you anymore. Right, well, an apology is the first step. It's acknowledgement. Expressing remorse, that's a good thing. That needs to be followed by action, though. And often bearing witness to the effect of it. You need to explore questions like, how did that make you feel? What was it like for you when you found out? And what's so hard in so many infidelity affairs circumstances is the person who committed the affair or the infidelity often has a lot of hurt feelings too. They feel lonely in their relationship. They have their issues. But the person betrayed always needs to go first. Or else it really is, it makes it seem and feel like it was the partner's fault, for being withholding or fault for being emotionally withheld. And that's not true. It's never anyone's fault if they got cheated on. That's self-evident because people can choose how they respond to dysfunction in a relationship. They can demand that we go to therapy, they can seek support, they can speak honestly, or they can go and have a relationship with someone else. And that's it's within people's realm of choice. For those who don't know, I'm doing an event with Jimmy Knowles on Monday. If you comment the word event on Instagram or Facebook, I'll send you the Zoom link to it. A lot of people are like, oh, where can I learn more about this? Where can we talk more about this? Well, at the event that we're doing with Jimmy Knowles on Monday, we're talking about how to repair relationships, how to work through communication, how to work through just the hardships that come when you're trying to share your heart with somebody, trying to express your heart to somebody. So you should just comment the word event, and I'll text you or DM you that information so that you can jump on in. It'll be great. Come on Monday. There's 2 different times. All right. Next question. Boom, boom.
So my wife has complex PTSD, originated from family of origin, just feeling really left out and isolated, like the world was against her. complicated by autism and ADHD, very late diagnosis at age 30 after we were married. But the thing is that her complex PTSD is now evolved to seeing me as the primary trigger. And so we are at a point where...
Pause. Listen to his voice. What do you hear in his voice? I'll tell you what I hear. I hear shallow breaths. I think he's breathing into his chest, not his stomach. I mean, literally, like, what do you hear, like, sonically about his voice? He seems to be squeezing his throat to make points. He pushes air, but with his throat muscles to make points as he's talking. His soft palate sounds relaxed. He's pushing air up through his nasal cavity instead of his oral cavity. There's not resonance in the jaw. There might be a tight tongue. That's relevant. I'll explain why that's relevant in a second. Listen, let's keep listening.
What I need from her in terms of a balance from a spouse, she can't give because she sees me as a traumatizing agent and against her.
Feel that push?
And so we're kind of stuck in this, I can't get what I need, and she can't get what she needs because she can't receive it. Or if I make a single mistake, then she triggers this enemy thing. So we're just in this very stuck cycle. So hopefully
enemy thing. When you hear that, there's a back and forth. There's an internal dialogue that's happening underneath the speech. Self-editing expression. There's anger under the surface that's trying to get out, and he's editing because he knows he's being recorded. I'm going to play this. And there's probably a part of him that genuinely wants to be patient and understanding and empathetic with his wife, but there's also anger underneath. That's what I hear in the voice, just in the tonal quality. Even if this were in Spanish or something like I don't understand, that would be evident. Hold on. Let's listen just for the content one more time of that last part.
And so we're kind of stuck in this, I can't get what I need, and she can't get what she needs because she can't receive it. Or if I make a single mistake, then she triggers this enemy thing. So we're just in this very stuck cycle. So hopefully you can say something that might be able to help both of us break it and be able to be vulnerable for long enough to get some real healing.
Yeah, it's great. It's good. Oh, man. Here's the hardship. When you go into trauma work with complex PTSD, sounds like his wife is doing some of that work. Oftentimes, especially when ADHD and neurodivergence is mixed in there, like so much of the damage isn't just like these singular, big, huge, traumatic things. Could be, but it's usually more like death by 1,000 paper cuts. There's these tiny little things that happen over and over, and it's often misinterpreting signals, little things that were said that you didn't pick up on that then came to bite you later. Thinking that we're good, but then really you're mad at me. Thinking that you're mad at me when really we're good. It's like misattribution, body language. It's like, and what happens is you kind of just get put on threat. You're just kind of like, I don't trust my own system to be able to tell if people are mad at me or if I'm safe or if we're good. And so then, oh my gosh, like I've been married to you for several years, and my husband, like, he's passive aggressive with me too. And there's times when he says he's fine, but he's not fine, and says things are good when they're not good. And then times that he just explodes in anger, and he's been angry for a long time, and I didn't even know that he was angry for a long time. And then what it does, it throws up your guard because you're like, I don't know how to read you. So I don't know when to let the guard down because I don't know when I should have it up. And my assumption, these are all assumptions, I could be wrong, obviously, but my assumption from the tone of your voice is that people tighten their neck muscles because they're holding back what they want to say. So when you hear just the tonal quality of tight muscles around the vocal cords, and then when they throw air, not through their oral chamber, but through up and above and through the nasal cavity, There's a self-protectedness implicit in the holding style. So Reich would call that body armor. Lowen would call that holding patterns, right? So that stuff's relevant. The somatic cues are relevant. And so, ironically, how do I change it? You need to start speaking more honestly, not with criticism and intensity, but you need to be plain in the cues you're offering, because then that will help her track. And then she can trust when you're not angry and when you are angry. And I know that you're refraining from expressing your frustrations because you're trying to be kind, not out of any sort of manipulation, but maybe in therapy or what have you, you just need to be more honest. One of the reasons she can't connect to you physically, because you keep talking about your needs. Well, my needs aren't being met. Is that maybe there's sexual needs in there. We were talking about sexual needs earlier. Yeah, you can't draw near someone warmly when you're scared of them. When you fear the emotions they feel towards you, you're not like super receptive to having them express feeling towards you. When you feel judgments, when you feel not good enough, when you feel discontentment from your partner, it shuts down. And I think men get confused with this because we're like, well, why don't you just open yourself up? There's almost kind of this implicit desire of like, well, why don't you just like open up anyway? Why don't you like, can't you see this as a need? Like, why do the stars have to be aligned for you to yada yada? And it's like, oh man, you don't want her to do that. you don't want her just to do it anyway. Because that further disconnects her from her body and her feelings, and then you don't want her to act robotically towards you. Trust me, you don't. You just want reality. You want reality. You don't want her to enter a non-reality to connect with you. That's just disassociation. Man, when people like satisfy their partner's sexual needs out of just a compulsion or some form of like appeasement, it always bites. It always bites you in the end, because it's not real. It's a version of a lie. And that's not to say like, oh, you only do things when you're in the mood. Clearly, I think that we know the physiology of responsive desire and all. I don't know. I could go into all these things around. Like, there are things you do to get yourself in the mood, but it has to reflect authentic feeling. That's the point. It has to reflect authentic feeling. And if there's unresolved fear, hesitation, hurt, you should be walled off. Because why? What's stopping you both from repairing? It's maybe the lack of resourcing the container you need to get all the way through it. So that's what therapy's for. The short answer of that is you need to be more honest with your frustrations in a kind way. That feels like the most backwards advice. It feels like, well, you have someone who's like traumatized ADHD and you should be super gentle. Nope. Freaks them out. You need to be honest. You need to be, and not just honest, like you're not giving me you're not satisfying my needs. Like, it's not pressure for performance. I'm talking about the feeling under the feeling. I feel frustrated that we haven't connected in a long time. And it's like, great, what does that make you feel? Frustrated. No, like underneath, what does it make you feel? Scared. Scared you don't love me. Scared I'm not attractive to you. Scared you don't see me. Express that. That's good. That's good stuff. You might be fearful that she'll withdraw. She might not. She might be able to hold that. Get to the real stuff. But that's codependent. No, it's just human. It's just human. Yeah. All right. You should know this. I want to look into some questions. Ask me questions about that. What comes up for you as I describe that? Me and Jimmy Knowles are doing an event coming up soon on Monday. You should check it out. If you put the word event in the comments, then we'll send you a DM and you can get the Zoom link. But we're talking about conflict, having real, honest conversations, expressing yourself authentically, expressing feeling in a way that leads to that connection. Just type the word event in the comments and I'll DM it to you. It's a couple different times on Monday. Someone says, as an unmarried believer, how do you uphold, I'm assuming you mean Christian, as an unmarried Christian, how do you uphold respect honor for your spouse, courting, and express healthy love in the phase of relationship premarital. Well, they're not your spouse yet, so you shouldn't, unless you make those vows, they're not your spouse. I get it if they're your girlfriend or you're courting them, however you want to label it, that's fine. You can express love in all sorts of ways. I think that even physically, like I think we think of like, okay, well, for folks who are choosing not to engage sexually before marriage, it's like, okay, what do I do there? It's like, okay, I have to put up limits, but there's almost just, you feel this pressure. You feel this pressure of feeling that builds up and you want to express it. And I think it's important that you express it within ways that connect to your values. And so I think in verbally, with poetry, with writing, with journaling, with letters, with songwriting, with art, however you make it there, with quality time together, with physical affection that falls within your values, with time spent with other people, doing things together, that the attention and the energy isn't just pointed at both of you, but you take the attention and then you point it out towards things that are meaningful for both of you. Community involvement and work and doing things, building things together. That's a short answer to that question. Oh. Wow. I'm looking through the comments and there's a few questions that keep popping up a lot. All right, let's see here. One moment. This will be the last question I'll answer and then we'll close up for today. Okay, Sabrina, I see your question. You've been commenting a lot. That's fine. So I broke up yesterday because I demanded more effort, and he replied, I won't give you false hope. Life gets harder and busier, and he has to earn and work, and he didn't mention improvement. Yeah, I think that it sounds like he spoke clearly to you, that he didn't want to offer you the effort that you desire to feel from him. I'm sorry. It looks like the stage you're in is grief. I don't have a secret power to get you to convince him to put in more effort if he's willing to leave the relationship on those grounds. At the event on Monday, we're talking about how to invite partners who put in low effort. That's one of the things we're talking about. Often what looks on the surface like low effort can sometimes be guardedness. And if someone's feeling guarded with you, it's going to feel like they're putting in low effort, but that's just because the walls are up. So we're going to show you how to invite someone to bring the walls down. So comment the word event. And if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can go on Instagram in the link in my bio if you're on YouTube. And yeah, me and Jimmy Knowles are going to be talking about that topic. Yeah, someone furious just said, I'm in grief also. It's so hard. Yeah. Let me look over to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Yeah, talking about that shutdown of expression. That's good. All right, I'm going to head out for now. I care about all of you. Come to the event on Monday. On Monday, we're talking with Jimmy Knowles. We're talking about conflict. Talking about, oh man, just all the pain and all the hurt that can come up when you're trying to connect with someone else and they feel guarded or you don't feel that effort from them. You don't feel that engagement. When you're trying to connect with someone but you notice your own body shutting down and not drawing near. Even though you want to draw near, your heart wants to draw near, your body shuts down. I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the ways that we try to reach out for each other and we just get tripped up in the process. So comment the word event. You can go to the link in my bio. Yeah, find me on Instagram, all the places. Monday, there's a Zoom link. You can grab it. We'll talk soon, okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. Thank you, thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye for now, bye for now.